myself, Michael Bergio, Mark Novak, morning minutes, dressing like a meathead. we'll give we'll give you a couple of examples. Dress to impress. Does it really matter in business? We'll obviously relate it to a lot more real estate because that's what we are. But there's Mark. There's one like some people say it doesn't matter if what you dress. It's which okay.
Most people would say that, eh? Like,
yeah.
If most people would say, look, I really don't care, about how someone looks, how someone dresses. I'm looking for a good doctor, or I'm just looking for a good real estate agent, or a good, no, I don't really care. It's the qualifications and it's the personality, right?
Yeah, it's what you say, it's how you say it. That's what cares. But give us an extreme example, Mark. But
okay, your doctor turns up in thongs and a blue trucker singlet and starts telling you about the brain operation he's going to do on you.
Yeah, I think that may sort of sway my thoughts on their professionalism. I think I would care.
Doctor walks in a white doctor's vest suit, whatever you say, with and has a haircut, shaven, and he's not in his thongs. I'd have a bit of confidence.
Yeah. And then you relate that back to real estate as well. Like, I think, well, you sort of, your appearance and what you say, it's all representations of who you are and what you do. So if you're going in to pitch for business or represent a client in something that's quite, or even if it's not, like, I don't think there's a difference between if you're selling encyclopedias for $20 or selling a house for 20 million. You're being represented by a client. You've got to look professional. I think there are levels of looking professional with maybe no tie. But I think the biggest thing in what you do in business is the consistency, Mark. And I think you see it with a lot of very successful people, regardless of what is their taste in fashion, you could say. It's that consistency. You've got your Steve Jobs, which was the same tee and shorts, or you may be
Steve Jobs, in a world where Steve Jobs was in his world, everyone was wearing suits. He broke out and decided to wear black t-shirt and jeans everywhere he went. Same thing every day.
He wore it every day. Consistency.
Good point. So consistency's there. It was acceptable. I'd love to know what our audience thinks, guys and girls who are watching. What is your opinion on dressing for work? Do you need a tie? Do you need a button shirt? Is it industry centric? I'd love to know your opinion. If we focus on real estate agents, what sort of real estate agent do you want turning up to your place? Do you want the guy in shorts? Do you want him in a tuxedo? Do you not care? I'd love to know your opinion out there and what you're thinking. You know what? It reminds me, Michael, of Walt Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Walt Disney had a famous quote or saying, and it went something like this, where he would cast thousands and thousands of people. So it's actually casting for a role. So when he would cast for a role, he would cast for a fairy. He would cast for a doctor. He would cast for all different roles in what he did. Now, as a human, as a person, you can choose any act you wish. You can choose, and it's called a job. And you can choose to do whatever you want. You can also choose different grades within that job. So you can choose to be the best in your field. You can choose to turn up and practice and balance that with other things in life. You can go full force and say, I'm going to be a professor in this field. So part of that, when you're casting for a job, or when you're casting, because when we go opposite clients, guys, like it or not, we're almost casting for the job. They are Walt Disney, and we are going in and acting as a real estate agent, and we are putting on such a good act that they are choosing to use our services, right?
Yes.
What comes out of our mouth, the way we our eye contact, the way we shake, their hands, the way we move through the property, and the attention we give to the property and to the client. You can't tell me that clothes are not important.
Yeah. And even, let's say, for argument's sake, let's say the vendor or the client doesn't care, but does the buyer's about to buy something, one of their largest assets. You don't think they would like the feeling or that sort of, I don't know, to be dealing with someone that is dressed like a professional, or the perceived dress code of a professional with that transaction? Do you think a buyer would want to spend $1, $2, $3 million buying something with someone in boardies and the thongs? Maybe, but I think the majority of part and how our sort of culture is, it's you dress up, you wear the suit, you wear the tie. And it's interesting to see where each industry, who makes those rules, or how that culture just forms and goes, this industry is acceptable, no tie, and this industry has a tie. Like, there's obviously no rule book, besides obviously companies have their own policies, but it's interesting to see how people have really came up with that decision on their own, on what they feel is acceptable to work.
Well, a tradie,
that way.
you know, a tradie with his boots and his high vis, he's acting like a tradie.
Yeah,
that's his act. Yep. That's his act that he chose, and he puts on the clothes accordingly. Whether it's not even the type of clothes; it's the presentation of the clothes. It's whether they are clean. It's whether they are ironed. All these things come into what we're talking today about in business, and I think when you're choosing a real estate agent, because we are real estate agents on the northern beaches of Sydney, I think you're choosing the best act. And I got to admit, JB Hi-Fi, okay, how JB Hi-Fi staff dress with all their tattoos, all their piercings, all their hair colors, I love it.
Yeah.
I feel pretty cool when I walk in there, and I feel like I can speak easy. I feel like, and when you look at the JB Hi-Fi signage, it's all ghastly yellow. Yeah. But I feel I'm going to get a bargain. It's all handwritten. They went the opposite way. So they went away from printed signs in the 80s and 90s. They went into handwritten prices on stuff, crossed out. You know, so that presentation, or the act, or what they chose to do actually works for me as a consumer.
Well, you know what? Now I'm thinking about it. It's maybe not. It's more the psychology of it. It's not necessarily what they're wearing. It's what it represents. So if someone's so anyone can put on the tees and shorts, and that's probably your lowest effort attire. But someone who's wearing a suit, who then has the shirt that you've got to have cufflinks, and then maybe a pocket square, and tying the tie with putting socks on, as Michael says, wear socks, having your shoes nicely done. These are all little, like if you've got a checklist of procedures, dressing formal is a lot more points to it. The beard, the haircut have a lot more points to it than your tees and a shirt. So then a person will go to that assumption, well, if you're doing that for yourselves daily, then I trust that when you're given the responsibility to sell my home, which also has a very high detailed checklist, that you'll be able to do it because it's in your nature to do it, to go through that. So I think it could just be a little bit of that. Obviously takes more effort, and you do it every day consistently. You're just wired that way, rather than you go to the races, you go to a wedding, you go to the funeral, it's a one-off. Anyone can do things one-off. You're looking for the consistency. So I think it could be a little bit deeper. Actually,
it's a really good point. I think, you're right. You're going into the psychology of the clothes wearer, and to the act that as a customer, you're choosing the role of a real estate agent. I love tats.
Yeah. I love full arm.
Love it. And I would love to have a tat coming up my neck so you can see it hanging out of here. Yeah. No shit. I'm serious.
Yeah.
But I also love real estate, and I love my career, and I love my crew. So I don't want to sacrifice any of that for myself, indulgence, right?
Yep.
So, if I could, I would. And there's also another side of it, guys, where it represents courage and strength. So if you have the balls to pull off a tat like that, and to be a real estate agent, you could be a very powerful real estate agent. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a big thing it's the consistency. I stress on that. It's like diets and exercise. There's a million out there. They all work basically if you're consistent at it. Some may work faster than others, but it is the consistency. And I just think it's an interesting one, because I think a lot of I think agency or agents are trying to go the more casual route, because I get it. People are searching for a point of difference. A lot of everything is quick visual marketing, quick grab someone's attention. And if all agents are wearing suits and you're not, instantly you've got a point of difference. But are you going the right way for a point of difference? Like everyone's doing something well and you just do it shit just to be different. Like, is that good? So it's one of those things as well. But you also you may appeal. This is one thing, like, just before you may appeal to that vendor, but the vendor's not buying the property. So let's say that vendor really loves the casual approach, that one vendor, but so let's say out of 5, 1 does, and that one vendor out of 5 every time's enough to have your business.
Yeah.
But to the buyer, you need both parts of it. And is it worth maybe not appealing to the buyer who's doing a big transaction, who wants you with the perception of dressing like a professional to do business with? And by say dressing more casual, some buyers may not like that, and then they won't deal with you. They just don't feel that professionalism or the casual lingo. It's like swearing in a conversation or using jargon, or like I do, just make up random words. Like, some people would look at that
very good
as
at that,
not professional, and they want to deal with someone who's professional. So you do find your mold, but when you're in real estate or sales, you really don't. You want to deal with everyone. It's like everyone's $100 is the same. It's $100. So I want to get it from everyone, especially if you're representing clients. You want everyone in there to be the property, and you don't want to segregate people because of your views. I think we have to be neutral. We're Switzerland. We're the middle people. You've got your seller and your buyer.
Yeah.
You may have a seller who's on the red side and the buyer who's on the blue side. You have to be Switzerland. You can't represent the blue or the red, because then it won't come together. So, and I think your appearance does send a message. So what message do you want to send?
It's a very good point. For anyone who's just tuned in, we're talking about in business, the attire that wins business or loses business. What you're wearing can potentially do that. Does it potentially do that? Now, a psychological fact is that 80% of people's perception of you is developed in the first 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Fact. So, clothing, very important. Handshake, very important. Eye contact, very important. Smile, very important. Smell, very important. All of these things and more, all of these things within the first 15 seconds, most people are deciding, they're pegging you as to who you are and how well you are going to look after them if you're a real estate agent. So I think in your attire, you want to make sure you are on point to painting that picture, whatever that picture is. If you're a tradie, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a doctor, you just want to make sure that you've got that first 15 seconds squared off. Now, for me personally, I feel very comfortable in a suit. I feel very comfortable in a tie. After a long time of being in a tie and a suit, that's my norm. I just gave away something just then, a very long time, which goes back to your consistency of what you said. And I think people can take comfort in that, because if they think, if you're comfortable wearing that, well, that's who you must be. You must be a suited sort of professional type of guy. Now, that may change after 15 seconds, but that's what I'm putting out there.
Yep, it's neutral. It's Switzerland's, but it's on point. The point of this, not sure, but it was a good topic.
Look, I don't think a lot of people like to talk about it. I don't think people put enough emphasis on it. I think it just becomes a done thing where we just conform.
No, you know what it is, Mark? People want to believe people don't judge people on their appearance. And as Michael says, it's all about your knowledge. Yes, but let's cut the bull. People judge people on their appearance all the time.
Look, if I walk in, and I'll take that stream example again. If I walk in with no shoes to a market appraisal,
you'll be judged.
Okay. End of the day, you don't think it matters? I guarantee bet my house on it. It will.
Yeah.
It really, really does matter. So, moving forward, what do we think about where clothing and stuff is going? I think you be the best you can be, and you dress to that. Do you know what I mean?
Consistent.
Yeah, and you're consistently looking like that. Steve Jobs, if people don't know, Steve Jobs, all he ever wore to work every single day. Correct me if I'm wrong. Black shirt, black t-shirt, jeans.
Yep. Consistent, and also whatever you're wearing, unless it's intentional, don't have it so it segregates a group or doesn't appeal to a certain group, and then they wouldn't want to deal with you. I think that's a big thing. So what you're comfortable with, consistency, but you don't want it to be offsiding in your people form a different opinion, not what you're selling around that. That's probably a big thing as well.
Being comfortable is a big thing.
Yeah.
I think being comfortable
shaved his head, not a good look. Lisa said. Jeff Lewis said, look up Adam Flynn. Yeah, Adam Flynn. He's that Melbourne agent for Buxton something. I think he's got a neck tattoo.
Buxton.
Does really well. Buxton, yep. And once again, I know Melbourne loves tattoos. I go there quite often. I was born there, and they have I tell you what though, Melbourne have a different culture with tattoos. It's a lot more than Sydney. They're very arty. Like we know that with their buildings, with their cafe lifestyle. Yeah, they're cooler. But they have, so it could be a lot more acceptable. Melbourne's cooler. So
yeah, they are. They're definitely more the challenger brand compared to Sydney, the leader brand, and I really respect and I really love the place. I think Sydney can learn a lot from that, particularly with the lockout laws and the nightlife. We killed our city, but another thing as well, today we're talking about what you wear in business, in work, military, war, consistency. Yeah. So be prepared, and you know that your camos are dressing for you. But the reason why they wear camouflage clothes is if they're running across a land, they will not get shot because they blend into the land. They are dressing for their environment.
Yep.
They are consistently dressing for their environment. They are known to have polished shoes. They are known to have boots ready to fight and go through water. They are known to be clean cut.
Yes. Easy.
And isn't that interesting?
Daughter.
So
yeah.
Who?
Glenn's daughter. Easy.
Hey, how are you? But I think again, again, dressing for your environment, very, very important. Can you imagine being a soldier and turning up in jeans? Doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yep. Alrighty. I think that's a take.
Interesting topic, eh? What are you going to wear to work tomorrow?
Suit and tie. Consistency.
Boom.
Alrighty, guys.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in. It'll be podcasted as well, so you can re-watch it, re-listen to it. Episode 199. That means Saturday will be episode 200. This is awesome.
Oh no!
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge. And you know what? We did the numbers, guys. We've had over 1 million minutes consumed on our Novak Facebook channel, and a very special thank you to every single person who's watched and been part of what we do. It's a lot of work, and it's the ultimate, and a lot of time, a lot of money, and it's the ultimate pat on the back when people are viewing, sharing, and liking, and really respect and love everyone for that support.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll have the Pocket Square another day, Lisa. I haven't been wearing them lately.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I haven't worn them for a while. I think it's too unorganized, my sock drawer, Pocket Square, and tie. You got to match them up, and it's consistently. Anyway, thanks.
Just do a Steve Jobs and just stick to one color.
Yeah. Anyway. All righty, guys. Thank you. Cheers.
See you, everyone. Love you. Bye. See you. Bye.